All right, guys, what's up? Welcome to Logged and Loaded, episode number the next one. And today we have an incredibly special guest. We have ourselves Mr. Adam Rumney, who is a fantastic promoter, used to be an athlete, big fan of the sport. Adam, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and what you're all about?
Yeah, thank you for having me on, gentlemen. It's been a long time coming. So my name's Adam Rumney. I used to be a competitive under 80 kilo athlete. I am now a strongman promoter. I promote shows in and around the Cumbria area. Hopefully, we're going to be expanding that soon. But I work for two companies basically. I work with NXT NXT Promotions, Next Era Promotions, which is myself and Connor Smith, and then I also work alongside Dave Stroughton for Cumbrian Strongman Promotions as well. I run my own gym, which is the Cumberland Strongman Academy, and I'm basically here, there, and everywhere, helping at almost any competition that I can help at to help the sport, basically.
Yeah, we've seen you all around. Like, you do a lot of things to help natural strongman and things like that, and it's great to see that. So you've got a very, very big competition coming up, my friend. A very big one.
Correct.
You are
Yeah.
running the first PSL in Europe. Why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So myself and my business partner Connor Smith are running the Pro Strongman League European Championships. The very first time it's ever been done. We have athletes coming from 7 different countries. So I think we've got 46 athletes total, something like that, across 2 days. It's being held in Carlisle on the 14th and 15th of March.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I don't know what to say.
I guess it's back to me.
Yeah, but yeah, I just brain fart.
You've been put on the spot too much. That's fantastic, mate. And obviously, this is the first time. This is the first time PSLs came to Europe. It's a very exciting time because they've never done it before. How did this come about then? How did this partnership come about?
So it came about through Connor. Connor come to me. Connor went over to compete in PSL last year, back in, I believe it was August 2025. He come back. He couldn't stop speaking highly enough about it. It was, in Connor's words, the biggest and best competition he'd done. The way he was looked after, the way he was sort of dealt with, and how he sort of just felt from it. Which, as you're aware, is very important to us as well, how athletes feel and stuff like that. So that sort of lined up well. Connor come to me and said he's had contact from Tyler, who runs the Pro Strongman League in America, and said that he had interest in running a show in Europe, basically a qualifier for the World Championships over in America. As you boys and anyone who knows me will be aware, I don't like to do things small. I like to make them as big as they can be. So I thought, rather than just doing a small qualifier, why don't we put a European title attached to it, and make it a European Championships, and try and drag in an audience, or athletes, should I say, from Europe as well, to show them how good PSL is, and then hopefully get more European athletes over to the States.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they run a fantastic show, and they've definitely picked the right people for the job. So the venue itself, you've uploaded some videos to Instagram about the venue. It looks pretty good, man. Tell us a bit more about that.
So yes, the venue is the Box Arena in Carlisle, which is the only Cumbrian city, the Great Border City of Carlisle, as it's mainly known. It's not central, but it's pretty close. It's an hour away from an hour and 20 minutes away from Newcastle, an hour and a half-ish away from the big Scottish cities such as Glasgow and Edinburgh. You're right on the motorway as well, so it's pretty close. It's the best sort of thing that we've got, as most of our competitions are held a little bit out of the way. So we tried to go a little bit more central with this one. It's right in the middle of a city centre, literally a minute away from all the bars, restaurants, hotels, shops. Local transport such as train stations and everything's really close. And also, it's a true event venue. That's what they do. They use it for events such as wrestling, boxing events. They do live DJs and stuff in there. Its whole design is around holding holding events and creating the biggest and best atmosphere in that venue. So, to be honest, anyone who comes and sees it will realise why we've picked it.
Spot on. What were the venue like when you approached them? Because from experience, I know some venues can be really funny about getting strongman or just weight-based sports in there because they get quite funny about flooring and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think what I approached them via email. They were really receptive. They took to it really well. They wanted to work with us, and sort of we don't really, as most people are aware, Cumbria doesn't really have much in terms of big events and things like that. We're very sparse in that term. So we approached them. They took to it, as I said, took to it really well. Wanted to help us as much as they could. We went to the venue, had a look. Myself and Connor both fell in love with it straight away. There was a few teething issues, such as the fact that it has got a wooden floor. The warm-up area isn't as big as we would have liked, but you can make things work. You can make one sacrifice to sort of lead to a better outcome, if that makes sense. So the fact that we've having to source flooring and work around a smaller warm-up area is sort of outdone by the fact that the atmosphere, the bar, where it's situated, the whole theatre around it, i.e. the big backdrop of the big screen, the fact it's got pyro, all that sort of stuff really leads to... I mean, the venue's even got its own lighting and sound engineer. So, like, saying that means, like, a lot more to us for creating an atmosphere for the fans and for the strongmen than the fact that we have to source some flooring. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So does that sound engineer come with the cost of the venue?
So yeah, it's all tied together. So basically, the venue gives us a sound and lighting engineer, which will run the pyro, will run the big screen on the back, will help with will help Strong Pass with the live stream as well. And it means we can do things like when we said about sorting the sponsors out for the athletes. Obviously, every athlete had the opportunity to get 2 sponsors. Every athlete will walk out to their name. Every athlete will have a walkout, but they'll walk out with their name on the backdrop with their sponsors underneath. So
that's really cool. Yeah.
So little things like that make the fact that we have to get some flooring. I mean, it's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it seem like a minuscule kind of task compared to all of the benefits that you're getting on top of that. Just going on to the athlete sponsorship, has there been many athletes getting sponsors for themselves?
It went way better than I thought. It was actually, got to give full credit, Connor come up with the idea. We'd been toying around with ideas of how we could give more back to the athletes. Like we'd done the T-shirts, which were received really well as well. I think we sold 44 athlete supporter T-shirts, which isn't a mad amount, but some athletes got their full, got the feedback for the for entering. So that alone is different to most places. You don't get that opportunity. So obviously Connor come up with the idea of, from his rugby background, of having names in a sponsorship attached to you in a programme, and then obviously on the backdrop as well when you're walking out. We got messages off people. One athlete messaged something along the lines of, "This idea is fantastic. I've just received £500 off a sponsor."
Oh, wow. That's brilliant. That's genuinely amazing. That
isn't it? Like, for, as both of you are aware, and so am I, weight class athletes in particular, but we don't really get the big backing of the financial support. We all have great teams around us, which are amazing, coaches, family, friends and stuff, but it's very rare someone will just gift us £500 to go towards hotels, travel, pay for the competition and things like that. So even if it was just one person, and I know it wasn't because there's many more, it was worth it.
Absolutely. And what you've kind of given them is you've kind of given companies a physical product, where they can see they're being marketed to X, Y, and Z. Whereas with, normally trying to get sponsors, which, both of us have tried to get sponsors over the years, and both of us have been rejected by numerous companies,
many times.
is because they don't see anything. They don't see anything physical there. There's nothing that
Yeah.
they can actually, nothing tangible that they can see. So it is very difficult. Even if you've got a lot of followers on Instagram, it can be very, very hard. So if they know that they're getting their logo on, on a T-shirt or wherever, and it's going to be broadcast in front of however many people, you've given them a massive opportunity there. So yeah,
I think the other thing as well is that the first time round, I don't know if people have bought into it as much. So I've been messaging a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't have a sponsor," and I was like, just go to your gym and ask for a 3 months membership in return for your name put next to it, their name put next to your company put next to your name. Sorry, even things like, even if you have your own business, if you have your own coaching, use that. Use that for exposure. Like, put your own coaching brand next to it. It's better to have something than nothing. And hopefully, as it comes, people will buy into the idea more. A lot of it's confidence. Going to people and asking for money or products or whatever, because we're not used to it. But I think something I would say is that's why, and it was my wife Rianne that done it. Rianne come up with basically like a formula or a post for athletes to post on their Instagram or send out by email, of what we were offering the companies if they sponsored the athlete, and hoping that would return the athlete some good news, which it did. A lot of athletes said that it worked, and it was good to see them using it.
That's incredible, to be honest. It seems like you've put a lot of thought into this, and how it can, actually benefit people, which is a lot different to a lot of promoters these days. So yeah, very, very impressive. We're
Just to
glad to
give a
see that.
shout out, just to give a shout out as well to the strongman physiologist Pip up in Scotland. Um, he was the one who sort of had the idea or posted his idea on Instagram to say, why can't athletes receive a T-shirt before the competition and put all of their sponsors on it, basically like a darts player does. That has its own set of issues. I think I heard you guys talking about it last time. As a promoter, that would be quite a lot of work. In regards to that. But this way, which was obviously Connor's brainchild of doing it like this, if you can get this to work, you can expand that even further. And we can, for example, when we do athlete announcements next time on Instagram, which are getting on average to anywhere between sort of 3 and 10,000 views on Instagram and our socials, we'll put the sponsors on there, on the pictures, all that sort of stuff we'll be able to bring in next time and hopefully push it on further and further.
Hopefully, this is just the beginning of something that's exceptionally fruitful. That's excellent, mate. So, in terms of the actual competition itself, what are the kind of spectacles that you're looking forward to? Like, is there certain athletes that you're really excited to see? Is there certain battles that you're really excited to see between X, Y, and Z? What are we looking at, mate? What is your what's your go-to here?
So there's a lot of I'll be honest, the numbers weren't where I wanted them to be per class, shall we say. Some of the classes haven't got as many in, but we understand that it's the first time PSL Europe's is being run, and hopefully this is going to be the catalyst for future years of people seeing how good it is and seeing how they get treated, the pathway to PSL World. So in that term, we haven't got a massive amount of athletes, but what we do have, as you've probably seen from the lineups that have been posted on socials, is great quality within the lineups. So one that springs to mind off the top of my head, in the 105s, you've got the 2024 under 90 world strongest man in Filip Zajecic, and the 3 times natural world strongest man at under 90, Tom Butts, in the same class.
Yeah.
they're both in the 105s. Like, if that's something that, as a strongman geek, I would want to watch. You've also got Mark
Without a
Cummins in
doubt,
there as well. You've got Mark Cummins added in there as well, which is another great addition to that battle, because Mark can take points off pretty much anyone in most events. So you've got other people in there that we've never seen as well, or not seen as much of, should I say, like Tom Pearson, who went to England this year and was it 5th or 6th? So he's obviously going to be in amongst it as well. You've got, in the under 90s, you've got Jonah O'Brien, Marcus Collins dropping to 90 for the first time, and then you've also got Lewis Bolton as well. Like that three there. Can you pick a winner? I don't know. Marcus, you would imagine would clean up that. Would clean that up. We'd be in a bigger, stronger boy in the 105s. With his performances at England's and stuff last year, and then going on to Britain's and Europe's and things like that. But how's the weight cut going to affect him? And Lewis Bolton is an unbelievable athlete, genuinely one of the best under 90s in the world. He went out to PSL last year himself, went to Europe's, Worlds. He sort of done the full pathway. And then you've got Jonah moving up from the 80s to the 90s. That's mad. Like, I believe he belongs in the 90s because he's a big, strong boy. So them three battling it out is going to be insane. And again, it's really hard to pick a winner. And then you've got Adam Zajecic, a 16-year-old with a 160 overhead.
I know, the kid is crazy. He's crazy.
Like, that is a promoter's dream. When he signed up, I was like, wow, how can you not turn that? I don't mean boy disrespectfully, but how can we not turn that 16-year-old lad into a superstar especially in front of the crowds that we sort of attract, and how well they take the athletes? How can we not make him feel like an absolute superstar?
Oh, absolutely, mate. Yeah.
I think from experience of competing events that you guys have put on, you always bring a crowd. Obviously, the record breakers and push pull that you put on at Christmas, it was a small venue, but you managed to get quite a few people who weren't there for any particular athlete. They were just kind of turning up because it was on, and the atmosphere that you create is really, really good. So if these guys are coming over from like the Czech Republic, or they're coming from Germany or wherever, and they're gonna see this thing, they're gonna be thinking, bloody hell, like I want to do this more, I want to compete for these guys more, and it's only gonna build PSL even bigger in Europe. So like, I think you're gonna work hand in hand really, really well.
I think the other thing as well is, like, we've been quite strategic. I haven't talked about the women there, or the 80s, or the 125s, or the Masters, but that's no discredit to them. The lineups. I mean, we're getting Big Dan Mack back this year again. When I say back, that was because I didn't know if he was going to compete this year. He's just a freak. He's just a freak.
Absolutely. Giants 5 athlete competing.
Just a very well known in Cumbria, obviously, starting to get better known elsewhere for being an animal. But again, he hasn't got an easy time, like, at all, because you've got Wojtek coming over from the Czech Republic. He was meant to compete in the Under 105 Pro Show back in February, and he didn't make weight, so now he's moved up. We had Ryan Naylor, who has been dying to come back to Cumbria since he missed out on the Under 105 Pro Show due to missing weight. And then you've got Luke Williams, who competed at the Under 105 Pro Show. That's incredible. That they're going to be taking points off each other in different places. For me, obviously I know Dan quite well. If Dan was in full health, I don't see any under 120 beating him on the planet, personally.
I think if Dan was in full health, I don't think anybody on the planet could beat him.
But that's
You put him against Tom Stoltman.
we know Dan a lot better than most. I'm around Dan in the gym all the time. If Dan was full health, I would. He, in my opinion, he's the best under one, or potentially the best under 120 in the world. He's obviously
Without a
had
doubt.
he's had his issues, which you probably, as his coach, you're very well aware of. So is he going to be the same Dan Mack that we used to? I think he will be, and if he is, he's very hard to beat. I'm very excited to see that. But also, as I say, them other three, Ryan Naylor's a savage, and he's been dying to get back up to Cumbria to prove and put on a show. Because I say he only done the deadlift last time because he had issues making weight. Wojtek,
Yeah.
he knows what our Cumbria shows are like. He's seen it last time, and then Luke's competed there as well. It's really good to see them lads coming back after they have competed with us. But that's a great lineup because you've got second place in Ultimate Europes in Wojtek. Ryan has competed all over the world, incredible athlete. And then you've got Luke, 2 or 3 times world's strongest man under 105. Obviously
Yeah,
moving up a
Luke
class.
is really statically strong as well, incredibly statically strong.
Yeah, very, very good. And again, I think there's room for them all to take points off each other in that. So yeah, the class isn't huge, but it's a very good lineup. And we're getting Andrew Lumley back as well in the Masters. We had Andrew Lumley up for Cumbria for the under 105 show, and then we've got Mark Barton. He's
Oh yeah.
yeah, Mark Barton's coming up. The
Is that Legion?
under 105 England strongest man. Masters, I believe. Sorry, Tom. Masters under 105 England strongest man. Which is again no small title to have won. So that's a great lineup. We've got a gentleman, Jonathan, coming over. Jonathan Lawrence coming over from France as well in that class. Don't know too much about him. There's not much on Instagram and things like that. But if you're travelling, him and his wife, I believe, are travelling. If you're travelling from France, which is 2-3 hours on a plane, you're coming for a reason, aren't you? So I'm excited to
Absolutely,
see him in the class as well.
I think it's just obviously you're speaking about so many athletes being desperate to come back to Cumbria for these events. I think it just really shows how good of an event you guys are putting on that they're so desperate to come back. Like it's testament to yourselves that like these big names are really wanting to come back and compete again with you. I know I compete every year at King of the Stands because you guys look after us so well and put on such a good show. I know Tom come for his first one last year, and he wants to come back, whether it's an athlete or a spectator. Absolutely loved it.
But he hasn't.
So
He
many
hasn't
people
yet.
coming.
Get him back.
I'm too injured at the minute.
He's always injured. Always injured.
I think
it's a testament to yourselves that you're really, really like pushing and showing so many athletes, and everybody I've spoken to who's competed at one of your shows wants to go back, whether it is the first timers and the novice, or whether it is these big shows that you're putting on. My client Jack, straight away after he competed at your show last October, said to me straight away, I want to do that next year, a novice. It's always good, and it's going to be really cool in a venue like that. So
I think the other thing to add, without like, it's not all sunshine and roses for us. We make mistakes, and we will continue to make mistakes. We're not perfect. Myself,
human
Connor,
nature, though, isn't it?
exactly, yeah. Myself and Connor, and then obviously with Dave as well. Like, it's not all. We're not. I'm not delusional to sit here and think that it's all sunshine and roses. None of us are. We are constantly trying to get better, finding different ways. I'd say with the sponsorship ideas, things like that. There's always ways, and even something to add is we've done something strategic with this competition as well. 2 things actually. You mentioned the novice, beginners and novice show on the Friday night. We're putting a beginner and novice show on at 5 o'clock in the middle of a city centre on a Friday night in an unbelievable venue, which we've sold a really good amount of tickets for already. It's going to be rowdy in there because the venue looks big, but the actual area for spectators is really small. Not really small, but it's going to be relatively tight. So what that means is create, like if you get 200 plus people in there, you're not going to be cramped, but it's going to feel like there's 200 people in there. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be like where you've got
it's going to feel like
200
a
people.
packed crowd.
Yeah, it's not going to feel like you got 200 people in a venue with 1,000 seats, which just, I mean, it's mad,
It's
innit?
like you've spoken about
More
before. It's about getting the right venue for the right size event. Because,
absolutely,
for example, close to us, stadium like 48,000 seater stadium, you're never going to get strongman fans in there. You'll get a couple of hundred, and it'll look ridiculous.
yeah.
But
I
if you're
think
getting a venue that's like 500 capacity and you're getting
yeah.
300 people in it, it's going to look busy. It's going to look bustling, rather
Well,
than these
with
huge
this,
venues.
I think with this, if we get 100 people in, it'll feel like a lot more, and it'll be loud. It will be loud. Like if you look at the venue we held your stone record and the log and deadlift or record breakers, whatever you want to call it, there was 70 people in there, but it probably felt like to you at the time there was 150, 200 in there.
The cheer that come when I loaded that stone. I've never felt that in a venue before. And when I was at Natty Worlds last year, there was quite a few more people in there. But because of
a
it
lot
being
more.
such a like the audience was the right size for the venue, that it just really backed it.
I think that's the biggest thing. We've spoke previously about different competitions and what the issues with venues and things like that. And I think getting the right venue is huge, because there's no point in putting 100 fans in a 6,000 seat stadium, but putting 100 fans in a 200 seat stadium with a big one. When I go to a venue, the first thing I ask is how thick are the walls. And that might sound like a wild question. No, genuinely, that's the first thing that I asked when we picked your venue for the one at Christmas. Was I questioned how thick the walls were or what the soundproofing was like. Because if you've got soundproofed walls or thick walls, it keeps the noise in, which makes it louder and makes it for a better atmosphere. Things like that, I think, to me, are really important.
Small details like that matter, yeah.
Absolutely. Just something to add as well, which we said there about the novice and beginner on the Friday. That's a great opportunity for the novice and the beginners to compete in a venue like that, basically with the exact same setup that the pro strongman athletes are going to get and pro strongman league athletes are going to get on the Saturday and Sunday. But what we've also done was we recognised, and again, this was from Connor's influence. What are you still laughing at?
Oh, I'm holding the mic here.
Where the mic is.
I didn't realise.
This was a bit of Connor's influence as well. So we sort of recognised that the how can I describe it? The fascination behind huge weights, such as or the bigger weights of the under 125s, the 105s, lifting 140 kilos overhead, 320 kilo deadlifts. That sort of sells itself to a strongman geek crowd. We can advertise that and we'll get a decent amount of normal Gen Pop spectators coming to watch because of that. What we've done is on the Saturday, we've put the lighter weight men and the women at sort of prime time, 2 o'clock till sort of 7, 8 o'clock. If you think and make that more of that sort of Giants livey night out style entertainment show, and to try and use that to sell tickets. I think a lot of the time say that we can't generate more views for the lighter weight athletes or women. Sometimes we say that for, but there's ways of doing it. It's just finding them. And with the city centre venue, Connor said it on a reel that I posted when we were in the venue talking about it. It's literally right on the main strip of the city centre. You'll be able to buy tickets on the door. People walk past there to get to the pubs, the nightclubs, the bars, whatever. So our thinking is they're walking past, hear a crowd, hear screaming, see the posters, whatever, and they're coming to watch. That's the And I mean, some of the things that some of the women are going to be doing, some of the women's lineups that I haven't spoke about, are absolutely wild. Same with the under 80s. Got some great under 80s guys as well. Up and coming athletes. You've got James Lynch in there, who's incredible. Sam Blacklock, who's a local lad. Zach Spate
I,
in the under 8
I'm
well.
pretty sure I saw Sam Blacklock at Frankie and Benny's the other day. I'm not even joking.
Where was that at?
In the Metro Centre, it was on
Oh,
Saturday.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was having food with his family, and I was meeting my parents. So
Don't tell
yeah.
Connor that because he's his nutrition coach. You've
Oh
just dogged
shit!
me.
He was just having
Connor,
water and salad, I'm sure.
yeah, Connor's at home raging. But yeah, we've also got Sam Watson in that lineup as well, who's coming back, second competition back after a really badly broken ankle or foot, I believe. He
Right.
had a wear off. And then the women's categories are just, again, are they massive? No. Are the lineups really good? Tiffany Peters in there, who's unreal. I believe she just broke, was it an 18-inch deadlift record recently at the Static Monsters, I
She did.
think?
I'm not sure if they give them the official record unless it's at Worlds. But yes, she
Oh,
did.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've also got in the 73s, you've got Kathy Watson. You've got Millie Flanagan, who's just come off the back of a really good performance at Natty England's. We've got
Looking really
a
good.
lady coming over from France called Laurie Maggio. She has just recently, 4 weeks ago, torn her ACL,
Ooh.
and I believed she was going to pull out. I spoke to her about a week ago, fully expecting her to pull out, and she hasn't.
Right.
And then I had contact off her as good as a couple of days ago, I believe, when I posted her picture advertising her as an athlete competing, and I said, "Just checking, are you still happy for me to keep advertising? Or are you pulling out?" And she said, "Basically, don't count me out yet." So,
Wow. Right. Okay.
um, yeah, I don't know that situation. Obviously, that's for her, but yeah, the French ladies seem to be built different, shall we say? They seem to
Yeah,
take
I
on all
want whatever
challenges.
she's having.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, get me
We've
some
got
of that,
Angelina
please.
Berver coming over as well. Angelina Berver in the 82s, which is mad.
Great. She's phenomenal.
By the way,
Yeah.
just to clarify, if I have missed any athletes, I do apologise. These are all absolutely incredible. I'm just thinking of these names off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
we're definitely looking forward to seeing Andrea Seed and Naomi Hadley in the Masters. That's going to be a really
I'm
good battle.
just about to get to that one. So yeah, Izzy Tate originally signed up as well. So we had like them three. My mouth was watering at the idea of watching them three. You've got Izzy Tate, who's one of the first or one of the ladies, the only ladies to pick up the Dinny Stones, I believe. I don't know how many there is, but there's not many of them at all. 285 kilo deadlift, something like that. Then Andrea Seed is just phenomenal. Third place at Worlds this last year. And then Naomi Hadley, third place at Britain's as well. Mad
Yeah,
lineup.
that's going to
But
be a really good battle.
Izzy Tate has unfortunately pulled out due to health reasons. So wishing her all the best. But yeah, I've still got Andrea and Naomi, which is mad. Them two, very excited to see them two.
Yeah. And just to touch on what you said before about there being tickets available for people to buy on the night or on the day as they're walking past, I think that's great because it's gonna entice more non-strongman fans into learning a little bit about what it is that we do and what it is that we love, and then the more people that come about it by happenstance, the better, really, isn't it?
I know the posters that you've had made up are sick. Are they going to be dotted about Carlisle?
Well, they're pretty much, yeah. They're in different. We've tried to target the relevant places, shall we say? So gyms mainly.
Yeah.
There'll be posters outside the venue the week before. We've been putting them in bars and stuff around Whitehaven and Workington as well. Them posters were actually made by Heavy Quiet. That's a Instagram. Lewis Whitehead, who's on Instagram as Heavy Quiet, he does basically a magazine stuff. He's sorting out our program as well. So thank you very much, Lewis. He's doing a great job, and he's doing our
all the things I've seen him do so far. Follow him on Instagram after you guys sharing them, and all the stuff I've seen so far has looked good quality. Really cool.
He's fantastic, Lewis. Just another strongman geek, just like us, who's obviously helping the cause and stuff. And yeah, we need people like that because I am useless on computers. My Rianne does the best she can, but obviously having someone else to help us with stuff like that is a massive positive.
Absolutely.
Do you want to get on to some questions about the man, the myth, the Rumney?
I think that's a good idea.
So, just a few questions, kind of just about yourself, really. So, what got you into strongman promoting?
So I started competing in 2023. I done bodybuilding first. I absolutely loved the theatre of bodybuilding. I loved the feeling of being on stage in front of a crowd and performing, shall we say. And then I went into strongman, and it's a completely different atmosphere in strongman because in bodybuilding, no one cheers for you but your own people. Like, no one really cares unless they're there to watch you. Where in strongman, if you have 150 fans, for example, most of the time, if you've got a good MC, you can get all of them 150 people to scream for whoever is competing in front of you at that moment. It doesn't really matter who you're there to support, sort of thing. So yeah, I started competing myself. Dave Stroughton ran the first Cumbria's Strongest Man in 2022. So just before I started competing properly. I was training a bit at the time, and I loved strongman. Dave ran Cumbria's Strongest Man, which Dan McNicholas won. And then I went to Britain's Strongest Man in 2023. Dave Stroughton asked me to referee in 2023, which Carl Gorman won, and then we had our first under 105 class as well. 2024, we had me and my wife had a bit of not family trouble, but we lost a baby. So then I didn't compete as much, and Dave asked me for help running a novice show, and then basically we done it. It went really, really well, and then he asked me to help him with future shows. I absolutely loved it, fell in love with it. We opened our own gym off the back of it, and ever since then it's blew up. And from 2024 to now, the difference is crazy.
Yeah, the level of shows that you guys are putting on is great. And I think a lot of it comes from the passion that you have.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me was the fact that we sort of didn't have any opportunities around here for anything really, powerlifting or strongman. Even for myself, I was having to travel 2 hours to my nearest gym. My nearest gym was either in Preston at the time or up in Dumfries in Scotland, which was an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours away. I actually I come down to New Level 3 or 4 times as well, because that's the first time I ever met Matty, and he definitely didn't look anywhere near like he looks now. And yeah, so it was more the fact when Dave come to me with the proposition. Dave deserves all the props in the world, because without him, I wouldn't be promoting shows, and without him, Strongman in Cumbria probably wouldn't. I wouldn't say it wouldn't exist, but it'd be nowhere near as big as it was.
Yeah, he's clearly had a massive influence on it, which is great to see, because now it's going in the right direction. So you guys at both Cumbrian Strongman Promotions and NXT, I mean, you've touched on a few things like the sponsorship thing. What kind of things do you guys feel that you do differently to other promoters that make you successful?
So that's a really interesting question. What I would say is the biggest thing for us is we try our very best to make it a show rather than a competition. So there's two main factors that we look at when we're running a comp is one, athletes first and treat like they mean something and matter, which they do. They're not just a number. They are a professional athlete. Even if we're starting out as novice and beginners, as you boys have seen and most people have, I don't think so anyways, no one treats our novice and beginners the way we do. I personally don't think they get looked after, they get treated really well. And then that then comes on obviously to do the pro shows and stuff. And what we do with that is, the first thing is make sure the athletes are happy and they perform well and they're treated like pros, which then creates great performances. And then we focus on bringing in a crowd, creating an atmosphere, and making sure the crowd have a good time when they're there. Value for money, not really expensive ticket prices. They're getting a proper show. You've got food, bars, all that sort of thing there. And when you combine them two together, the athletes are looked after, they feel appreciated. That means they perform well and they put on a show. And then you've got a crowd that are engaged. It feels like a proper show and they create a fantastic atmosphere for the athletes. When you put them two together, that's your perfect show. A lot of other people do that. I just don't believe people do it at the lower levels or for the weight class strongman. Or women as well. I think that's something we do really well, is create a proper show and a pro feeling for the athletes when they're there.
Yeah, I think just on that, the way that obviously you're doing the PSL sponsor T-shirts where people can pay to get their athlete, the sporting on the back and whatever, the fact that you did the same thing for the novice and beginners comp is just a testament to show that you are treating everybody, whatever level they are, the same. Just across the board. And pretty much you've answered the next question that we had down as an athlete, why would we choose you? Straight away, just everything you said in that last answer sums up that.
I think, like personally, Adam, like, so I've competed around the world, right? And I've been to all the biggest competitions and stuff. And a lot of the time, even at those shows, you don't feel like an athlete. You feel like you say, like a number, but also sometimes you feel like a bit less than that. Sometimes it feels like you're just an inconvenience to the staff. And as a professional athlete type thing, I guess you could call me or whatever. You should never feel that way. You should never feel like that if you're a beginner or a novice, and you should never feel like that if you're a professional athlete flying around the world to compete. So the fact that you're making guys even at the grassroots level feel like an athlete, feel like that they're meant to be there, feel like they are in the spotlight is wonderful, because a lot of the time even we don't get that. And it is a shame to see that. So it's good to see, mate. It's good to see that you guys are doing that.
I think for me, the biggest thing I always say, and our athletes, as a promoter, our athletes are our superstars. I am big into WWE. I have been since I was a kid. They laid out a blueprint how to make an audience buy into something that technically isn't real. Imagine if you never hear anyone go to a strongman show and walk away and say, well, that was boring. Ever.
Yeah.
We have some great personalities in the sport. We're all a little bit different to each other. We're all a bit, some of us at least, strange, or we're quirky, or we've got our own personalities. It's, as a promoter, it's our job to display each athlete and push them. Giants Live, use them as an example. Giants Live do that fantastically. That's why Giants Live have created some of the biggest names in the sport. The likes of the Stoltmans, Eddie Hall, Hap Thor, even all of these athletes. Paddy Haynes now is coming through and he's getting more and more recognised. All of these guys, the reality of it is, without the work that Giants Live put into them and telling their stories, every athlete's got a story to tell. we need to follow that blueprint. And follow the blueprint of WWE as promoters of weight class or women, weight class men or women, and follow that blueprint because it's there for us.
Well said. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. You pretty much answered the next question, as Fisher said, as to why an athlete would choose to compete with yourselves. If you're a novice and beginner, absolutely you should be doing that. And then you're bringing on these bigger shows as well. Speaking of which, so this is the first year of PSL Europe's. Where do you see PSL Europe's being in, let's say, 5 years' time? What do you want to do with this?
The biggest show in Europe. The biggest. The biggest weight class masters and female or strongwoman show in Europe. Not necessarily the most athletes. I think we'll get to a point where we go sort of 10 in a class and it's more an invite base. That's our ideal. So we get the best of the best. But we understand we've got to grow that. There is a process to that. But that's where we want it. We want it to be worth where people look at it and go, that's the first one in the calendar. That's the one we want to get to. Like for me, I competed at a show last year, and that was my end aim, was to compete at Europe's or World's, one of them, and that was the aim. I want people to look at PSL Europe's as the same and go, that's the end goal. I want to be on that stage with the best in Europe and then earn my chance to go to PSL in America. Like a full pathway right through. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah. The same question for, I guess, both the companies that you're working for at the minute, so Cumbrian Strongman Promotions and NXT. Where do you see them being in the next 5 years or so?
I believe that Cumbrian Strongman Promotions will be I'd like to see it as the go-to for grassroots strongmen and strongwomen. And then also pushing on with the shows as we do, such as King of the Stands, Cumbrian Strongman, Cumbria's Strongest Man. I'd like to see that have its own. We currently just run that as a postcode competition at the minute. I'd quite like to see that have a we call it foreigners class, but what we mean by that is anyone outside of the Cumbrian postcode. I'd like to see that. I also think Dave has some of the best ideas in strongman. There's bound to be something crop up in his mind, weird and wonderful mind, that is a great idea for a competition. In regards to NXT, I think NXT's main focus is PSL and will continue to be. Another thing that we would like to, well, I'm saying this now, I haven't actually discussed it with Connor, but I'm just spitballing this into the universe. Seen an interesting post from Paul Smith about the reason why he doesn't compete in natural strongman. That's a different subject, but the reason why he doesn't compete in natural strongman, and he said that he'd like to see more entry-level pro prize money strongman competitions. The unit down in Essex, I believe, are running a really good one from what I can see, at least. I know you've had an invite, Tom. I'd like to possibly next year, maybe the year after, we'll see. I'd like to run something like that and develop that for an open men. We haven't had an open competition, a big one anyways. I'd like to have that and basically grow that into one of the biggest strongman shows in the country. There's a venue called the Sand Centre in Carlisle. It holds 6,000 people. That's the dream. It was the dream since I started. I've spoke to Connor about it. I've spoke to Dave about it. That is the end goal, to run a show at Sand Centre and to fill it, basically. That's what I would like to do.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds epic, to be fair. Next one, what's your biggest pet peeve of a promoter?
Just one or two, mate.
my-
Just one or two. You don't
1,000.
Something that like
what
you
my-
see other promoters doing that really like pisses you off.
well, I always find questions like this hard. Thank you for throwing me under the bus here.
You don't
I
have
think
you don't have to mention any specific
no,
names
no,
or any promoters or anything.
no,
if you don't
I
want to.
won't. And I think I've been, I've been, I've done this myself before, so obviously it's something that a lot of people do. I think we put more into the thing of we worry too much sometimes about, especially for the weight class and the thing about prize money and using prize money to brand a competition. And I think sometimes honesty and transparency, like we've done it with PSL at the start. We were asked questions about how much prize money or would there be prize money, and we stated at the minute we're not making any decisions on prize money. As soon as we have, we'll let people know, and we have, and we did. We were lucky; we've had some great help from sponsors and other things to allow us to give prize money. I think sometimes we put too much onus on rather than treating the athletes the right way and treating them properly. Throwing prize money at things isn't always the fix. Is what I would say. Yes, it's great, and if we can give it, we should. If we can give prize money, just to reiterate, if promoters can give prize money, we should. But we just have to make sure we're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. What a good thing that Ultimate Strongman Under 105 guys do. They're based in Europe. So they do offer a little bit of prize money, but it is a small amount. But all of the or the majority of things go into improving the athlete experience. So like when I went the first year, we were given shuttles from the airport to the city that the comp was going to be in, which was like an hour's drive away. So that was a massive thing. They put on food spread when we were there. They knew your names as well. It was little things like that. So definitely there is more important things than prize money, because it goes a long way to be treated well as an athlete. Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing you just said there,
one.
Oh, go on, Tom.
So going on to that, where Tom's saying about just knowing your name, there's been so many comps that I've went to, and people just kind of look at you, and you like sometimes the staff and whatever. And I remember the first time I did King of the Stands, I was not really known to any of you guys. I met you once in New Level when you'd come for a session, and immediately the first thing I turn up now, I'm kind of looking about as to where to go, and immediately Dave comes running over. He's like, "Oh, Fisher, you all right?" Like proper giving us the big and like talking up the show and getting everything ready, and just that little interaction there means the world to any athlete. Yeah. Just turning up and like the event organizer knowing your name and just like genuinely being interested in you.
What
and
we
I
said
know
before,
when you've got like, massive lineups, you can't always have that full conversation with every athlete because it's unrealistic. But even just turning up and trying to remember everyone's names, oh, you're all right, such and such, how you doing? And just little things like that make the athlete experience next level.
It goes back to what I said before. You're not a number. You're actually a person. Yeah. So like, and how simple is that of how that made you feel, Tom, about Dave just coming over and knowing who you were? Like that, the difference in that is massive. And I think something I'm quite big on is every athlete that I try, when we try and do our shows, myself, Dave, Connor, the same. When the athletes are checking in, hiya, you all right? My name's Adam, I'm running the show, and this is Connor. If you same at the athlete meeting, we introduce ourselves, and if you need anything, you come and see this person or this person. And we have designated people for everyone. And I think that's huge because you're not a number then, are you? You're a person. You've paid your hard-earned cash to be there as well. So you've got to respect that. And also, as I said, we should know stuff about our athletes as much as we can. Because as promoters, our job is to promote the athletes to a crowd, an audience, a new group of people to help to, first of all, grow them as athletes, because if they grow and they get bigger followings and spectators coming to watch them, it helps us. And then if we, by us promoting them, it helps both things. We can promote the show and them at the same time. So we need to know something about the athletes and care about them to be able to do that.
A little thing that you said there about the athletes haven't actually paid their, as you said, hard-earned cash to be there. I think a lot of promoters do kind of get caught up in this old school mentality. What they don't realize is that as an athlete, let's say for example Fisher here, he's the customer, but he's also the asset. So you've got to look after him as a customer, and you've got to look after him as the fact that he's the fucking reason the show's on. Whereas a lot of promoters just, as you said, you're a number. You've walked through the door. And we want nothing to do with you otherwise. So yeah, it's massive. It's really forgotten, and I think because we've only been competing for like 4-ish years, 5-ish years, so we haven't seen what it used to be like. But some of the promoters are still doing this, and it just shouldn't be that way. So yeah, absolutely, they should be treated as stars, as you said. Right, mate. Next one. What would you say are your greatest challenges, or what have been your greatest challenges in getting to where you are now? As a promoter, but you can answer personally if you want to.
No. So as a promoter, I think you've got to make sure you're making the right decisions and working with the right people to get the best outcome for, first of all, the athletes and as well as your business as well. Because again, without our business, we can't put the shows on to give the athletes the stages that they deserve. I think that's been a big one. I am not a businessman at all. Tom Fisher, you described me on one of your podcasts as an astute businessman, as well as a strongman promoter. And it was when you were having the discussion about OSG, and you said Adam's not just a promoter; he's also a very good businessman. I am not.
I don't remember this, like, but
That
Yeah.
couldn't be us sharing misinformation, could it? That doesn't
Yeah,
sound like us.
yeah.
at all.
no, not at all. We'd never do that.
But yeah, that was. I remember watching it, and I thought, "Wow, I've never been called that before." Because I'm not. I have to be reined in a lot of the time from just wasting pointless money on things like pyro and people walking out to sparklers and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah,
what
but
I will,
that makes the show look cool, doesn't it?
it does. But what I will say is it's just passion. It's just, and sometimes passion can lead to your. It's all about longevity. Yeah, it's all about longevity, isn't it? And making sure you're giving people what they actually want. Because as I said, giving athletes things that they don't want can sometimes cost a lot of money, and then you're just making the wrong decision for the athlete. You've got to try and cater for as many people as possible. And I think I have done that wrong in the past. I have made decisions sort of trying to run before we can walk almost, thinking that athletes care a lot about, for example, the size of a venue, or worrying too much about how big the crowd is. The size of a crowd doesn't always matter. It's the atmosphere the crowd creates that matters. But yeah, I'd say sometimes I get too passionate and forget that the actual runnings of a show, for example, licenses, insurances, all that sort of stuff, they matter just as much as anything else. And that's the boring stuff that we need to do. I know you reached out to me, Fisher, about the one for saying about insurances on stuff for the show you're running. And it's a minefield, isn't it?
Yeah, I have managed to get something sorted, thankfully.
Yeah.
After speaking with about 5 or 6 different insurance brokers, managed to get something sorted, lined up, ready to go. But it is absolutely a minefield, yeah.
But I think, yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. Making sure I'm working with the right people, and making the right decisions for the business, which then helps the athletes.
Yeah. Now, bit of a dream team kind of question for you, but if you could get a dream lineup for an event, who would you kind of want there? I'm not expecting you to like name 15 people just off the bat, but is there any athlete who you'd absolutely love to have come to either a CSP or an NXT show?
Let's say that you can't just pick Tom Stortman and Mariusz Pudzianowski and Brian Shaw.
Yeah, from like the weight class.
Yeah, we'll go with
You know what the strange thing is? That wasn't what come into my mind. My mind instantly, no, honestly, my mind instantly went to the under 80 men. That's where my mind went to.
Okay.
And I would like to see these 5 together. Tommy Lavelle, when he was at his peak. I'd like to see Tommy Lavelle, Dean McVie from 2023, Richard Molnar from Europe's 2025. I'd like to see Joe Kennedy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
From Britain's Strongest Man in 2025. And then I'd also like to see Chris Harper as well. And if I'm going to add one more, Mason Cup. So Chris Harper from 2023 Worlds he won, 2024, not sure, can't remember.
2024?
Yeah.
No.
It was 2023.
23, yeah.
23, and then Mason Cup from last year. That lineup there, wow, that's some lineup.
That is a very good lineup. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, there's loads. There's loads I'd like to see.
What about like your dream 5 events? Let's say you've got all the money in the world to play with. What events would you pick?
So I'd always pick a max deadlift. That's just me. I love a max deadlift. I'd always pick that. I would go for. I'd pick a max. Yeah, I'd pick max deadlift. I'd pick an overhead ladder of different implements.
Nice.
Something like a circus dumbbell, a log, a stone press, and then finish it on something like a heavy behind the neck press max. But you pick your weight before you go out to it, and if you obviously, and if you fail it, you fail it. That style. I would do that. I would go for a max front carry. To be honest, one of my favourite events. I'm not competing in this, by the way. This is just for me to watch. I'm not competing. This is a disgusting line of events. I would pick the best one. One of the best ones I've ever seen, and we're doing it again this year. Is anvil carry up a hill at Cumbria's.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
And it's incredible. So it's a 132 anvil up a hill for about, I think it's about 190 meters.
What?
There's only 2 men to ever finish it. One of them was Carl Gorman, and the other was a lad called Aidan Wainwright.
Wow.
So
okay.
yeah, I think that'll change this year. I think a few more will finish it this year, but the Opens is going up to 150 anvil rather than 132.
For 190 meters.
I think it's about 190 meters. Yeah, it's a good old way.
Bloody hell!
Sure,
That's
I've got
fucking
that.
horrible. That
Definitely 100% well over 100 meters. Anyways, well over, and it's uphill.
That's crazy, man.
I've seen the video. I've seen the videos of it, and it just looks insane. I think
It's
the year you did it, was it raining as well a little bit?
Getting down, yeah. Yeah, there was just
the video I saw was Carl Gorman running up a hill in the pissing down rain with his fucking anvil, and it just looks horrendous. But you've got so many people like following along. Like it's such like a really cool bit of footage.
Well, the crowd.
Who resets the anvil?
Well, it wasn't me, and that's all that matters.
No. That's fair.
The best thing about that event is the crowd runs up the hill with you. Honestly, they follow you up the hill. It's brilliant. But that's so yeah, there's that. There's that, and then I'd probably go event 4 after that would be. I'd probably go for an odd type of short distance medley, still involving some type of running, but not obviously a lot after doing that front carry. So I quite like the ones at Arnold's where they use the kegs and the fire hydrants and all that sort of stuff. And then I'd always personally natural stone run.
Nice, good choice.
The one we done at the under 105 Cumbria's in February. I don't know if you got to watch that, but that was class. That was unreal. So I'd love to do. I'd finish on that. A nice, heavy, natural stone run.
That sounds like a brutal show.
As long as it's not raining. The stones.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Just
right.
to add, well,
Okay. So, yep.
I'll add
go
some
for it.
additional onto that. If I was to pick my favourite venue, if I was to pick a venue where I would hold that competition, I would hold that competition in. Do you know Carlisle Castle?
Not too well, but I know of it.
There's a big castle in Carlisle. It's been there forever, and they are talking about putting basically a grandstand in there, almost similar to like they do at the Edinburgh Festival when they have like the military festival up in Edinburgh, similar to that, but in Carlisle. I would hold that event there, and then I'd do the anvil carry. I'd run the anvil carry up the grass bank at the side.
Yeah, that sounds pretty tasty. Like that would be awesome. What a spectacle!
Yeah, I'd love to. That's a dream. I don't think that'll ever happen, but yeah, that's what I would do.
Hey, never say never, mate. You've done a lot of amazing things so far. So, right, just before we get on to the closing question, we had one question from our Q&A, only the one, unfortunately, which was Mr. Zach Spay is asked, is PSL going to be the best strongman event to come to the UK ever? It doesn't necessarily mean this one. It means PSL as a whole, over the course of years.
Okay, so I believe that this year's PSL, I don't want to talk myself up too much and end up falling on my ass, especially poor Connery, who isn't even hear me making ridiculous statements like this. I believe this year will set a tone that will set us apart and will set PSL apart. Tyler has put a lot of faith in us to run this show. We are doing everything we can to make it as amazing as possible. And I think you're coming on the Friday, Fisher, aren't you? To the novice show. I really believe I'll come over to you after the show on the Friday. And we'll see if we backed up our bullshit. I believe it'll be eye-opening and be something that you have never seen for weight class strongman and strongwoman or novice, beginner and novice shows in the UK.
Wow.
Okay. So PSL Europe's in 5 years will be one of the biggest shows in the country, and everyone will want to compete there. Yeah, that's what I believe.
All right, great. That's spot on.
Yeah,
that sounds good. We believe you as well. We fully believe you. We look forward to seeing it develop and grow.
I'll just talk.
You what?
I said it's all just talk at the minute. Obviously, we've got to make it happen, but that's where we want to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, mate. So the final question of the day for you. It's deep. It's deep. So prepare to get deep. What does the future of strongman look like to you, and where do you see yourselves fitting into it?
So I see strongman as a sleeping giant in terms of a spectator sport. Said it before. No one goes to a show and walks out. This is any show, by the way, not just ours. This is any strongman show. If it's done correctly, natural strongman, the national competitions that they held recently were a perfect example of this. No one goes and walks out and says, well, that was boring. Well, I didn't get my money's worth. I didn't enjoy that. Oh, it wasn't exciting. Never. Doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. So when you open that up to a wider audience, when we start catering for the right crowds to come and watch that, sell the athletes properly on a lower, sorry, not a lowest, the lower scale of athletes. What I mean is the weight class athletes, the women, the ones that aren't getting the exposure at the minute. When they start getting the exposure and get viewed, the same viewing and same spectators that the Open's larger athletes with the bigger followings get, imagine how much bigger that's going to get, because you're going to have not just from a spectator standpoint, but from a competing standpoint as well. Because the more people see people like me or your normal average size man, 80 kilos, 90 kilos, not really special or clad in muscle or anything like that, they look and go, well, if he can do that, I can. And most men are programmed, and women now as well, it's changing, to see strength as an attractive thing to be. We want to be strong as men. And now we've had this switch in society, which is amazing, where women are now wanting to be strong. That's incredible. I love that. And as that grows and grows and grows, the sport will grow. It'll bring more spectators. Things like what Natural Strongman are doing, where they're holding an after party at the UK and Islands. Like, that show is going to be absolutely insane. Yeah. They're holding an after party after it. You can get to meet the athletes, get to meet the promoters, talk to them, ask you questions. You get to spend time with your friends and family. That's how the sport grows. And within 5 years, I don't see why we can't be filling stadiums for weight class shows. And women, I don't see why we can't. They are growing every year. More athletes, more spectators. Why can't we put 6,000 people in the Sand Centre? Why can't we put 2,000 or 3,000 people at every sort of national Natural Strongman show or every national OSG show? Why can't there be that many people at these shows? PSL, why can't PSL Europe's have 150 athletes and 1,000, 2,000 spectators? They deserve it. The athletes deserve it. It's just down to us as promoters to bring that and to deliver it, as well as the athletes as well, to drum up the crowds and stuff. But it's there to be taken. I genuinely believe it is.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Yeah.
We've just got to find a way to do it. That's all it is. And it's our job as promoters to work alongside the athletes. So that's where we fit in, I suppose, that we have to deliver that. Some of the organisations at the minute are doing great jobs. There is some organisations that obviously still have got work to do, just like we have. We've got work to do as well. I don't believe there's any promoters out there at the minute that are the finished article for weight class strongman and weight class strongwoman. I believe there's a lot of work to do, but everyone seems to be trying, which is good. The fact that there's new promoters out there like ourselves, obviously Natural Strongman are a huge force. It's making everyone else better. Everyone else is having to improve now because the standard of promoters improving, which is good.
Absolutely right, mate. Absolutely, and as long as everybody keeps improving, it's just going to go up and up, and then, as you say, hopefully we'll be selling out arenas. That's the goal.
The standard of athlete will grow with it as well. The standard of athlete will grow, because at the minute, why would you? If you've got a top level athlete, this is really apparent in America as well. If we use Brian Shaw as an example, DJ Doggett's another example. Like, unbelievable athletes. They usually in the States get snapped up by basketball, American football, or boxing, or professional wrestling. One of them four snaps them up, whether it's fighting or boxing or whatever I said. Any of them four will snap them up and they get taken away. So we don't actually get the best crop of athletes some of the times. I think that'll start changing as the sport grows in terms of money, spectators. Obviously, it all comes hand in hand. You'll see the better athletes falling in, and that'll just filter through, and that'll grow everything to a huge scale.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. I think Tommy Lavelle posted something about saying that if it wasn't such a small percentage of the population that competed in strongman, some of the top people wouldn't actually be at the top, which is probably an accurate statement, to be honest. Because once we get more people in, and there's more data, I guess there'll be a big boom and everything grows.
Well, yeah, as you say, if you look at some of the athletes who are competing in American football, some of the boxers, like you look at some boxers and go, "Wow, we'd make an incredible strongman." I mean, there's someone like, if you use Anthony Joshua as an example, if when he was 16-year-old at 6'5" and probably 17 stone, decided to fall into strongman, it would have what would he have been capable of? Probably anything he wanted to be capable of.
Yeah.
So the more that happens, the bigger and better the sport will get.
Absolutely. Right. Fantastic. Well, it's been great having you on, Adam. We really appreciate it. The insight into PSL and everything has been fantastic. Hopefully, it is going to be an astounding show. If you want to just give a quick reminder of the date and time for everyone watching.
Yeah. So we have 3 shows across the weekend. There's the beginner and novice show, Next Era's Strongest, on 13th, Friday the 13th, starting at 5 o'clock. Doors open at 4:15. Then we have the Saturday show, which is the under 80 men, under 90 men, under 64 women, under 73 women, under 82s and masters. That starts on the Saturday the 14th at 2 o'clock. Doors open at 1:15. Then we have the Sunday show, which is the 105 men, the 125 men and the masters. And that is starting at 11 o'clock on the Sunday. Spectator tickets are available online. They're also available on the door. And there will be a live stream for the Saturday and Sunday show, which will be run by StrongPass, amazing live stream company. They do a great job. So if you can't come in person, check them out. I also just want to give a massive, while I'm with you guys, give a massive shout out to all of our sponsors for helping with the show. People like, I'm currently wearing them at the minute, the Lake District Strongwoman Club, our main sponsor. Without people like them, we wouldn't be able to run the show. We've got so many sponsors. I can't name them all. But we've got so many. You'll see them all over socials and things like that. They have helped us so much. And people like yourself doing bits and bobs in the media like you are is a massive help. So keep doing what you're doing, gentlemen. You're doing a great job. Everyone in the strongman, or most people in the strongman community, appreciates what you're doing. So yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Oh, thanks.
You're appreciated.
Oh,
you
made our day.
Yeah.
And just if anybody wants to give you a follow, if they don't already follow you like they should, how can they find you?
Just on Instagram. So there's myself on Instagram as CSA Adam. Then you've also got Connor on Instagram as well, CSA Coach Connor. He drops some amazing stuff. He's a hell of a lot more intelligent than I am. He's a nutrition wizard, so go and check him out. And then we've got the Cumberland Strongman Academy on Instagram, Cumberland Strongman Promotions as well as Dave Stroughton. Go and check him out. Check out King of the Stands as well. We've got loads of social media stuff. There's some great stuff on there. If you go onto my page, you'll see it all, different posts and stuff. So yeah, be sure to give us a follow for more fantastic strongman things.
Perfect.
Yes, do that.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a really, like I said, really insightful thing. And just to wrap up, do you want to do the honours, Tom?
Of course I do. Of course I always want to do the honours. Right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Go ahead and follow Adam and myself and Fisher and everybody else that Adam mentioned there. And don't forget to tune in to PSL Europe's, the European Championships, which is going to be held on StrongPass. You can get a subscription there on strongpass.ie if you can't make it to the venue for the date itself. And as always, go fuck yourselves.